Good everyone and welcome to another vlog for the Exodus 7 to 12 KJV project. Now this is going to be a short one. We're only going to be covering a few storyboards that I got to this week and a few things with the screenplay. So this is going to be a really quick update. So as you can see, I made a few changes to the layout of the storyboards, primarily because when I went through the screenplay this week, I found that I was trying to squeeze in stuff that wasn't explicitly written out. It's possible that they could have happened, but because we have scripture as our script, we want to make sure that whatever we include is actually written. So what I did was I made a shot list concerning the frogs, and that is that they come out of the river abundantly, which is the shot that you can see right here. That they go into the house, they go into his bedroom, they go onto his bed, they go into the house, singular, of his servants. They go up to, on the people, in the ovens. Now, I'm still struggling to find out exactly what these specific ovens look like. I found a reference that makes it almost look like a capsule that's been stuck in the ground with an open top, where you would make the fire in the top, as far as I can tell from the sketches and stuff I've seen. You would make the fire in the top, and whatever you wanted baked or something would be in underneath. It's the same effect as having an element in the top of the stove or the oven, so that you get that we'll call it radiant heat at the moment. But that's just my limited understanding of it. I've never seen one in person. I've never used one in person. I've only seen some sketches, and they don't really explain exactly how it works. This is just, interpreting what I've seen. Now, the kneading troughs, there are a few types of kneading troughs in Egypt. One is like a big bowl that two people can knead something at the same time. It looks almost like a wine glass, a very shallow wine glass that's standing on the floor. And then you also get something that's like a very flat canoe that's about the size of your lap that you can use to knead in. And then you also get almost like a gutter is the wrong word. You know what a shower base looks like. You know, it's like these little shallow walls and a fairly deep inside where people would knead using their feet. So kneading troughs would probably cover all of those things together. And then you also get them being on the king, on his people, and on all his servants. So specifically this week, I focused on compiling this shot list based on what Moses and Aaron told Pharaoh by saying... Let me just get the piece here. It says, and the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go, which shall go up and come into thine house. Remember that one? That's the magicians copying them, so I still need to reposition this one. And I did this late last night, so that's obviously why it's confused. Anyway. So they come into his house, which would be this one right here, and of course into his bedroom, onto his bed, and onto into the house of his servants, house of his servants, on his people. Kneading troughs, remember that wine glass type figure I told you guys about? And of course, onto all his servants and the people. And then he calls for Moses and Aaron. We just get the actual thing. Stretch forth thy hand, okay. And then Pharaoh sends for them, according to this one. This is where I do face a little bit of a dilemma, because I want to show you how it reads. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the water, and frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. And that's, okay, no, it's not me being confused on that one, because they do come up onto the land, and then the magicians copy him. Try to copy him, at least. Okay, so that's right. Okay, and then it says, and the magicians did so with their enchantments and brought up frogs upon the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron. Now, obviously there is a gap between, and the magicians did so with their enchantment. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, entreat the Lord that he may take away the frogs. The reason I say that there's a gap, and I just got another possible theory as to why it's not necessarily the case, which I will talk about in a second. I just want to make a note of it. Okay. Now, the primary reason I say that is because the plagues were designed to get Pharaoh to let the people go. They were not designed just to be annoying. They really had a very specific purpose. So in order for Pharaoh to reach the point where he would call for Moses and Aaron to ask God to get rid of the frogs, means that the frogs were, as the expression goes, a plague. Had to be severely annoying and disruptive in order to have the king of the country call for people to get rid of the issue. It's like a state of emergency. So what the magicians did with their enchantments was also bring up frogs, and then there had to have been a gap between these two verses where the frogs came up abundantly, go up into his house, into his bedroom, onto his bed, into his house of his servants, etc., etc., etc. Because God said it would happen that way. And it would have to happen that way in order for Pharaoh to be willing enough to let the people go. Now, the other thing that might have happened is this one that says, let me just get it. Where Moses said unto Pharaoh, glory over me, when shall I entreat for thee and for thy servants and for thy people to destroy the frogs from thee and thy houses, that they may remain in the river only? And he said, tomorrow. Now that we don't know exactly when Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron. Might have been during the day, might have been during the night. I don't know. It doesn't say. But the fact that he says, oh, it's okay, you can do it tomorrow, says that the frogs were not a severe enough plague yet. But it also gives us a further space of time where the frogs were still being an annoyance in the country. Just goes to show how stubborn a person can be. So it's possible that it was after this verse that it got so bad, but I think that is a bit on the flimsy side as far as the purpose of the plagues go. As far as the purpose goes, I really, really feel strongly that it is between the time the magicians copied or tried to copy. I say tried to because they can't do it on the same scale or with the same efficacy. They're just copying. And then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron. So, yeah, I personally think that it's got to be a shot list between these two verses right here, because sticking it in over here where he says that will happen and then he stretches out his hand, it's confused. It doesn't work. So we have to place it in here to have it actually make some sort of sense. I just find it weird that it's written this way, but yeah, whatever. Okay. So we continue on, and he says tomorrow, and be it according to thy word. Okay. So Moses and Aaron get brought before Pharaoh, and they talk to Pharaoh. Let me just get the part where they talk to Pharaoh. Okay, here we go. So here Pharaoh calls for Moses and Aaron. Moses and Aaron pitch, and they say, okay, when shall we entreat for you? And Pharaoh says, tomorrow. And then there's a psychological change where when the king gets his way, his heart hardens, and he gets sort of like an idea that he's suddenly gaining power again. And then it says tomorrow. So that's why I'm tilting the frame like this, because at this point, God puts Moses in charge. At this point, Pharaoh starts to think he's in charge again. And at this point, you know Pharaoh's not in charge because we're using a shot from above, showing almost like a God's eye view. In other words, Pharaoh is not above God's authority. And then, of course, he says tomorrow. And Moses and Aaron say, what did Moses and Aaron say? They said, be it according to thy word, that thou mayest know that there is none like unto the Lord our God, and the frogs shall depart from thee and from thy houses and from thy servants and from thy people, and shall remain in the river only. Whew, very specific. And then they turn around and they walk off, and Pharaoh's heart hardens, and he's obviously not keen on letting the people go. But Moses and Aaron could have, not necessarily did, but could have felt encouraged as they walked out and went and asked God to remove the frogs from the people. I think there was something else to cover as well. No, that's it. So that's it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this very short update. I did not get to a lot this week, as if that is not obvious, but I really enjoyed getting to work on these storyboards. So have a great one, and God bless you.